Our episode today, what is it, Cherie? Why don't you tell the people?
It is all about drugs. One of your favorite topics.
Drugs. Drugs. I love when it comes up. Drugs. All right.
So you're leaving that on?
Just for a minute.
Just for a minute.
We talk about our outfits.
What's happening here? Why are you dressed like you're going to mug me?
Well, there you go. I'm dressed up as like an East London, South London rude boy who, you know, I'm basically dressed as all the guys who sold me cocaine throughout most of my 20s.
What's a rude boy?
Rude boy is kind of the British version of like gangster, you know, kid from the estate,
Outlaw.
from the projects, you know, instead of projects we have...
What's the estate? That sounds like fancy, rich,
Instead
rich,
of projects,
rich.
we have estates. They're just tall, high-rise buildings with lots of people living in them, packed together in predominantly poverty-stricken areas, you know, more working-class, poverty-stricken. And then, yeah, the guys who, like, you know, run the estates, the gangsters who run that local area and sell the drugs. And
they all had OnlyFans fanny
pop the
packs.
ops, mate. You know what I mean? Allow yourself, rude boy. What are you talking about? You're chatting shit, fam. Listen.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You get me? You want to pick a little something up? Talk to me, yeah? Tell me what you need. Tell me what you need. That's what all the boys like.
Tell me what you need.
Tell me what you need, yeah? What do you need, man? What do you need, fam?
And do they have like
Yo,
a
let
variety?
me see that watch. Let me see that watch. What are you saying?
What do you mean, let me see that watch?
Exactly.
Well, no, what does that mean? Like,
I
you're
don't
going to
know.
steal my watch?
Actually, at this point, I feel like fucking Chet Hanks, if I'm honest. Like, bad gal, white boy summer. Listen, shout out Chet Hanks, you fucking lunatic. You what an idiot. We are, doing drugs. So I thought I would dress. When I think of drugs, I think of like, you know, the matching Nike tracksuit.
Nike?
Yeah. That
Is
was
it
like
always Nike?
Pretty much, yeah. In London, it was. That was the wear. That was the urban wear. You know what I mean? That's like
interesting.
What you put on.
And they'd have like a ton of different drugs in a little fanny pack?
Got the Jordans, you know what I mean? Got the Air Force Ones on so I can bang.
So you can run away quickly
in
if
case
things go south?
Fucking 5-0's coming for me, do you know what I mean?
The 5-0.
I'm not getting locked up again. I'm too pretty for jail. Someone's going to kiss me on my batty. You get the idea, right? I'm just using a lot of patois, Jamaican patois at the moment.
Like, I have no idea what you're saying or what any of it means.
Cherie's super confused and also a little worried we're going to get cancelled because this episode because I'm using patois. Anyone from the UK understands what I'm talking about. The concept of like patois language, Jamaican language, fusing with like East London, working class, you know, people, white people. That was a big part of the culture growing up in London. So,
well, I know it bled over into punk and ska in kind of the same way, where they took a lot of the beats from reggae and put it into like white people music. Yeah,
exactly. Or like it was actually a lot of people, diverse cultures creating stuff together at that point within London. Yeah,
but
of course.
Just like a lot of it, the white people were making more money off of a lot of the projects.
I don't know if that's true for the kids off the estates who were selling drugs. I think they were all just trying to sing a little bit of MJ, do you know what I mean? Just trying to little sniff. What do you want? A little chop? You need a little chop?
A chop.
Chop. You know what a chop is?
No.
Little chop. You chop up a line of cocaine, so a little chop. You know, a little
just
chop.
Like a little bump hit line.
Yeah. Little bugle.
Never heard of any of those things. I've also never done cocaine. So.
You've never done cocaine your entire life?
No.
Oh my God, you're so boring.
Fuck no.
All right, well, I can't run with you then, fam, because you're not real enough. Well, who are you dressed as? This is your concept of drugs growing up in America.
Because I was traumatized. Being an American child, growing up in the 80s, we had all of this like insane anti-drug propaganda. It's going to melt your brain. Do drugs, you're going to immediately die or immediately go crazy and ruin your entire life if you do it even once, no matter what the drug is. Period. And they would come into our classrooms with police officers and criminals and just honestly scare the shit out of us.
Right.
Then give us one of these shirts and send us on our way.
And say, congratulations, you've been saved from drugs.
You've been saved from drugs.
Is this now, as a Brit, the only thing I sort of feel like I can relate to there is this like the adverts that this is your brain on drugs.
Exactly.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. And it was like two eggs frying.
It was always an egg. That's not a brain. Yes, that's exactly right.
Which, by the way, is not a fair representation of what your brain is like on any drugs.
It really
I've never
isn't.
thought, God, my brain really feels like a fried egg right now. My brain feels like pure liquids. You know when you're super high, you're like, my brain feels like it's not even there. It's just empty space in my head.
Well, I feel like you are going to have a lot more experience with this episode because I just got my heart fixed, so I've done almost no drugs. If I had done almost anything prior to getting my heart fixed, I would have died. And knowing that since I was a little kid,
Makes you super fucking boring.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Or maybe you just didn't have enough daddy issues to dive that deeply into the world of drug taking.
I don't know that I would have anyway.
Pick up a couple of addictions.
I was a serious kid, straight A student, all that stuff. There's
but
no
you're
time
addicted
for drugs.
to dick, so I mean there are different drugs out there.
Yeah, I'm smoking some kind of pipe.
Hey, let's go. Zinger. Clip it, put it out there, 1 million views. Easy. Do you think I feel like you've got a mixed message though, because I'm looking at you and I'm going,
no,
yeah, because it's like the dare and it's dare, but then your hat is very pro-weed.
The hat is very pro-weed. Yeah.
And you are pro-weed.
No, ever since I moved to California and I could get weed that was regulated and I knew wouldn't be laced, again, because it could literally kill me, I started smoking weed.
And how have you enjoyed that process of being able to dabble with a naughty drug?
I like it because the only other drug I was able to take before that really was alcohol. Which I'm kind of lukewarm toward. And I feel like weed is way better for me than alcohol. Alcohol upsets my stomach. Like I feel
bloated,
less in
fat,
control.
gross. Is it depressant?
Yeah, it's just not that fun. I get sleepy. It usually ruins. Yeah, I'm like, I'm tired now. I'm gonna go home.
You fight people in the streets.
Do I?
I don't know. I've never seen you shit-faced. Actually, I've never seen you. I don't think I've even seen you buzz. I've seen you high. Like we've got high together plenty, but never like buzzed or drunk.
I just get silly, flirty, goofy, never angry, never mad, never any of those things. I'm a very lighthearted drunk.
Get you a couple of glasses of champagne then. See, I want to see that, Cherie.
I'm a very giggly, silly, more likely to do silly things when I'm drinking, for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, all of that. Yeah. Fucking all of that.
Have you ever been taking drugs prior to doing a scene? Have you ever been like either high or a little buzzed on alcohol? Because I imagine a lot of performers the first couple of times they shoot at the very beginning.
I think some people do, but even on the few instances where I've seen someone take a drug or I've noticed that they smelled like alcohol, I'll cancel the scene. Right. Immediately cancel the scene. Because in our industry, if you knowingly go on set and have sex with someone and they're under the influence of anything, it's rape. Like, it's hard fucking no. Now, that doesn't mean...
It's a hard R as well.
It's a hard R.
The only hard R you're allowed to use, rape, by the way.
Rape.
That's the only,
Yeah, so it's... Absolutely
Unless you're Chet Hanks, in which case he probably drops a hard R as well, I imagine. Like, I mean, listen, I don't want to put that into the ether. I don't know if I can confirm he's used specifically racist language, but he's definitely come off like he doesn't really understand race.
But his name is Chet, so maybe.
Chet,
it just feels like aggressively white, if that can be said about a name.
There's someone who's suffering from drugs. Like, that's someone who shouldn't do drugs, is Chet Hanks. That's what happened. He probably went to Jamaica, one holiday, 5-star resort, all paid up by his mum and dad. He got out there, he met one Jamaican girl who sucked his dick. Do you know what I mean? He smoked a bit of weed with her and came back and went, "That's what I'm doing now. I'm Jamaican," you know, and he started rapping in Jamaican voices and stuff and flying the flag.
Heart.
It's a white boy summer, apparently, Cherie. You know, we can't stop it.
Summer.
We can't stop it.
So you know that I'm boring as fuck when it comes to drugs, but I feel like just list for me, if you even can, the drugs that you've done.
Oh, I can. Yeah, I think I know all the drugs that I've taken. So alcohol, marijuana.
Yeah.
What's that one that sends you a little loopy? It's like weed, but it's like begins with S, and it's like you have like it sends you completely loopy.
Yeah, salvia.
Salvia.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of legal highs as well. Like, bless you. Done a bunch of legal highs that we used to buy off the internet before it killed one of my friends, and then
what?
Yeah, and then I became an ambassador for an anti-drugs charity that stops those legal highs being bought by kids on the internet. You know, because it was literally killing kids.
What was the thing?
It was basically back in the day when ketamine was declassified.
Yeah.
You could get ket, but you could also get like these things they would be called like zing bangers on the internet or whatever, and they were literally like pills. Yeah, they were cut.
I had no idea.
There's these people called cut chemists who basically they will find a drug that is illegal and they will slightly change the composition, just minuscule change the composition, which means it's declassified and it's legal to sell online.
Honestly legal.
But it could absolutely kill people. Yeah. And then they put in new laws after Angelus Foundation was the name of the charity.
Wow.
And it was after my friend Louise died from ket, I realised how dangerous these legal highs were for youngsters because they could buy them. Anyway, different story.
No, that's interesting.
But so ketamine, cocaine, speed, acid,
speed
MDMA.
is what is speed? Like
really cheap. It's really cheap.
But is it Adderall? Like, what is speed?
Oh, no. I mean, it's a chemical compound that fucking
Speed
gets
is speed.
you high.
It's not like some other drug they nickname speed.
It's like meth, right?
It's
Is
like
it meth?
Is it similar to meth? I don't know.
I don't think it's.
I
mean,
thought
meth
speed was
is like
crushed up ADD drugs. Which could be my ignorance. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm sure ADD drugs, which I have also snorted Adderall. I have crushed that up and snorted that.
I thought that was speed.
But it's a similar thing. I think it can give you a similar experience. But speed, no, it's more chemically. It leaves you feeling a bit icky. But it's basically like doing a load of coke but it gets you high and fast and, like, oh, I want to, like, yeah, let's go dance. Let's go, fucking, your jaw starts going. The difference is it used to cost me, like, for a gram of that was like 15 quid.
How long
instead
would
of
a gram
of
last?
coke, which is like, anywhere between 50 to 80, depending how good the coke is.
Is that like a night, a week, a month?
Oh, I mean, I do a couple of grams in a night.
Okay.
I mean, like, it depends.
Okay,
Depends what I was doing.
I was just trying to get like a cost analysis. If a gram's going to last a month of
Here's
partying,
the reality. The gram would last as quickly as we can do it, depending on how many other drugs there are. And then when you're at the point where you're licking, we used to get these lottery tickets. This is how dealers used to sell the wraps, right? The wraps of Coke or the wraps of whatever powder.
What does wraps mean?
A wrap, literally a wrapped package
like
of
a little
the drug.
bag of it.
But instead of bags, in America you think of drugs being in little balls and little bags that people
little
hide in their mouth or they
bags,
and they swallow if the police are about to get them or whatever, and they just deal them like that. In England, it's the lottery tickets that you can get in any store, corner store, paper. You would get that and you cut them up into like pieces and then you fold them in a certain way, which I could show you if you want. And
I'm very curious.
You put powder in them and then you put a gram of powder and you
like
wrap
a
it
little...
up. Yeah, but it was like a little baggie. It's like a self-wrapping little baggie, so you can
Interesting.
pour it out easy. You can rack it up easy. You can put it back in your pocket easy.
Do you prefer that to the plastic?
You lick the paper at the end. That's when you know you really haven't got money for drugs. I mean, when you're like licking on a lottery ticket. That's something like I keep spitting.
No, yeah, that's fine. Let me just wipe it up. There we go.
So yeah,
That's
so
absurd.
wait, where are we
So
up
wait,
to? Ketamine, speed, acid. I've
acid.
done LSD. I've done
That is
psilocybin. I've done but it depends how you get it. Like in different.
Really?
Yeah.
This is an education for
and
me
they
today.
are slightly different. I mean,
Are they? LSD? I thought acid was the nickname for LSD.
Oh, I mean, it depends. LSD I did as a liquid, and
Okay.
acid was on a tab of acid. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't
just
know
thought
if
the liquid could be put on paper
maybe.
or not.
I just took them, Cherie. I didn't look at the fucking science behind them and go, let me just get into the etymology of exactly where this comes from and exactly what it means.
I would.
And then Coke, Ket, a lot of pills. Which
Did
could
you
have
say
been covered
ecstasy?
Ecstasy,
Yeah.
Well, MDMA, Molly, ecstasy, all sorts, same thing.
What was your favorite?
Favorite drug out of all of those? Oh,
yeah,
definitely
great
psilocybin.
question.
We're gonna get to that actually. We're
Yeah.
gonna get to that. I want to talk about that in a bit because there's a bigger chat about those particular drugs.
You've done a lot of drugs. You've had experience with a lot of drugs. Are there any that you would never do again?
Yeah, pretty much every single one of
How
those,
come?
except I just don't think they enhance my life. I don't take drugs to get high anymore. I take drugs to have life-changing experiences or therapeutic.
That was one of my questions. Recreation
yeah.
versus self-improvement. So you're saying when you were younger, recreation.
Well, hang on.
solely?
We're skipping
Tell me,
through so
tell
many
me. No,
questions.
I'm so excited
I
about
want to
this,
ask the
though.
question back to you. You know all the list of drugs I've done. What have you done? What's your total
Yes.
list? Is it alcohol and weed and that's it?
Alcohol, acid, mushrooms, weed.
You've done some stuff then. All right, and what have your experiences been? Because we've talked on previous episodes actually a lot about my drug experiences.
Yeah.
All the way from
I
heart
know because
stopping
it's
to.
fascinating to me.
I just did a lot of them for many years. So what's your? I don't know as much about your way that you've imbibed drugs or taken drugs and what effects that's had in your life.
I'd say most of my experimentation with random stuff was in high school. When I was really, really young, that's when I did acid. That's when I first smoked weed. That's when I first tried alcohol.
Right.
Mushrooms, I don't think I got a handle on or didn't have available till college. I don't know why, for whatever reason.
It's a good time to have them available.
Yeah, acid was the thing in high school. But I got poisoned with acid. It had strychnine in it. So I've had a couple good experiences on acid, but I've had enough bad experiences where I would never do it again.
Yeah, with the one where poisoned.
Poisoned. I was vomiting. I'll tell you a funny story.
Why do people do that? Can you work out why or how that came about? Because
why do people cut drugs? Why do people poison drugs? That's an excellent question.
I have a theory that's never coming from the dealers. Like, don't get me wrong. I know that drugs, like for instance, the Coke we used to do, if I got cheap Coke, I always knew there was going to be
the dealer.
Novocaine, which is like a baby laxative or like a numbing agent for like teeth and stuff. So it'd be cut with Novocaine or like baby powder or paracetamol
Just
crushed
junk.
up. just paracetamol. And they said at one point glass, they would get like tiny shards of glass and crush up glass to a powder, because then when you do it, you get a little bit of the nosebleed, like a little bit of a cut, so then the drug goes into your nose.
Yeah.
So all sorts of shit like that.
Disgusting.
But I can't see a dealer wanting, this is why with this spate of like fentanyl related deaths we've had over the last few years, I'm like, why would someone sell coke to someone that could have spent thousands, tens of thousands more dollars on coke from them and kill them once off? Like, it doesn't make sense.
But they're all doing it. If I were a dealer, I would
think the dealers
test
are doing
strip my drugs. The dealers clearly aren't even doing anything for customer service.
I don't think they're doing it. I think this is like going on a little higher end. I think look, in the same way that the government flooded the ghettos with crack cocaine, you know, during the Vietnam era to demonize this population.
But you're talking about a business person, a dealer, whether legal or not, is a business person.
Yeah, but if you're a dealer and you buy a fucking big
why aren't you testing
pound of cocaine from someone?
It's your customer service on the line.
Oh, I mean, well, I just think you're expecting a little much.
Am I? Well,
you're hoping that someone's going to run it like a...
Yeah, but why? This is a legitimate business for these people. Multi-million-dollar business for a lot of these people. Why aren't they testing the drugs to make sure their customers don't die? Not even for the customer, for the capitalism.
That's not who's selling the drugs. The people who make millions of dollars
selling the drugs?
The people who make millions of dollars don't see the drugs. They don't even see it. They arrange shipment. No, 100%. I know a guy who used to ship in vast amounts of marijuana into the UK, and he never even saw the drugs anymore. He was at that level where he just from point A to point B, and he just like arranged meetings for people and stuff like that.
Who's poisoning it?
And then that's what I'm saying is I think it's like it could be pre-poison. It could like government agencies could be putting shit in these drugs, because what demonizes people, what makes people more scared of stuff than you could do one sniff of this and you're dead
and die.
And so they go and do the paid drugs that they can go and get from their pharmaceutical company instead.
By the time so when the drug is created to the time it's on the street, it passes through a lot of hands.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the dealer, the guy you go and sit in his fucking Fiat Uno and drive around the block 3 times to get your little gram or 2 grams of coke out of him and give him like $50 or whatever, or $100. That guy, he's not making so much money on it that he's testing his fucking drugs and got a little laboratory at home to make sure it's all safe.
You don't even need a lab. It's so easy to test your drugs.
Well, I mean...
And he's got a ton of drugs. Why wouldn't he test them? They're his customers.
I know. Like I say, I don't think you go into the profession of drug dealing with a conscience concerned about necessarily the safety. But also, at the same point, I don't think they're cutting up the drugs with things that would kill their customers, is what I'm saying.
No, not the guy on the street.
There's not an HR department that you can like report your...
Sure.
Hey, these drugs are bad.
But still,
Crack
just
Chris
on
is like,
money.
he's cutting it up, man. He's killed 3 this week. I'm going to put in a request for a transfer for him. You know what I mean? Let me talk to corporate about it. It's not happening.
Crack Chris.
For sure not happening. Cracky Chris is like, he's killed 3 people this week.
Fucking Chris.
He killed a teenager this
week.
He did. Oh, let me have a word with him.
Chris.
You know what? I'll call him in my office. We're going to dock his pay this month.
I would.
I'm sure you would. So what's been your experience of those drugs then? You've taken a quite an array for someone who said they hadn't really explored. You've really not explored the ones that fuck with your heart more.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
The ones that are like hardcore stimulants, or after high school.
Although acid, some people would say, is a pretty hardcore stimulant in some way. I mean, it's a psychedelic,
Right, it's a psychedelic. It doesn't like elevate your heart rate like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. My heart's pretty fast on fucking acid or LSD before, you know.
Yeah, but like from like crazy excitement or like seeing some weird shit, but it in and of itself isn't gonna like elevate your heart rate.
So what's been your experience of the drugs? Positive, negative?
Positive.
Mostly positive.
Yeah, except for the time I got poisoned.
Yeah.
Although that time was funny. So I took the acid with a bunch of friends. Things were great. I was going to sleep over my friend's house. Everything's going well. I'm like 15, 16 years old. And then all of a sudden, my parents tell me I have to come home for dinner, which is a little odd. But I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I'm cool. I'm going to hide this like a champ. I'm going to bring my friends who are also tripping balls on acid home for dinner.
Amazing.
But we have a game plan.
What's the game plan?
Sunglasses.
Oh, yeah? How did that work out? You're all sitting there with dark glasses on, just gurning at the dinner table. I'm not really hungry, actually. I'm not. Have you got any water? can I have some orange juice? I need to speed this up. Yeah.
And we thought we crushed it. We thought we got away with murder until my mid-20s, where my parents revealed to me that they did indeed know the entire time, because a friend of ours had called them, and they were just making sure we were safe while they kind of fucked with us.
Well, that's good. At least they didn't out you and they didn't embarrass you, or they just made you say.
They didn't.
I did ketamine one Christmas. I had a big family Christmas dinner at my house.
Family?
Yeah, and I did loads of ketamine over the course of the day. I kept nipping out to go and do K.
What are the effects on your body of ketamine? Like, how would you start acting on ketamine?
At that point, I was like doing a lot. I would wake up in the morning and have a big line of it. You build up a tolerance very quickly to ketamine.
Is it like a stimulant, a downer, an upper?
Sniffing it is like, it's an upper, but after a period of time, it's like a numbing, almost like a numbing agent.
So you just like can't think?
Yeah, I was just like high and not really present and kind of. Yeah, I was just trying to do dumb shit. I was very unhappy. Yeah. Very depressed.
So did anyone notice that you're acting fucking crazy?
I have no idea. I wasn't acting crazy. I was just sort of sitting there, just like, just weird. I guess I was just like more quiet than usual. They probably noticed that.
Do you think that was that state of mind to you better than your sober state of mind at that time? Is that why you're doing it?
No, I think I was just super depressed.
Because I've always done drugs like recreationally, like for enhanced fun.
There you go. But it sounds like most of the drugs you've done to a reasonable level, and also mostly to enhance and enjoy.
To hopefully, that was the goal even when I was poisoned.
My drugs were always to escape. Always to escape. For most of my, teenage to 20s, to just part of my 30s. Yeah. Drugs were mostly like an escapism, or like, it's going to enhance the night, but then really just like trying to ignore feelings of
when did you realize
self-loathing
that?
And depression.
How many years did you have to go through to realize,
when I gave up alcohol, that was a big one.
So that's kind of recent.
Yeah, that's like 5 years ago I gave up booze. That was a big shift for me. And then I gave up most of the Class A's, then like Cat and Coke and all that. But
then too, at that same time?
Yeah. All of that, yeah.
I didn't realize you were still using like those other recreational drugs
until 5
years ago. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. 5 years ago. Yeah, when I moved out to LA.
Yeah.
In New York, I was still doing some coke and stuff. In the, I'd like finish comedy shows at the Cellar, and then I'd go
some coke.
Yeah, and then there's always some coke. If you work in nightlife,
there's always coke.
There's always drugs. There's always late night drinking. There's always lock-ins. There's always people fucking in toilets. Like, these are the things that go hand in. Oh, where the bar closes down and then everyone stays, the bar staff and a few of their chosen people
can
sit there for another 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah.
There was a venue called the Macbeth. It's like a famous little pub in East London, near Hoxton, that had live music. Still does, actually. It's changed now, but we used to run these amazing club nights there, and we would have lock-ins there. The venue would close at like 2 in the morning, kick everyone out, and we would be there until like 8, 9 a.m. in the next morning when the delivery guys are coming, just doing coke all night long, drinking.
I think that's the only way to do it, though. Hardcore stimulants.
Yeah.
There's no way I could be up till 8 a.m. without some sort of assistance.
But there's a point where you're like, you're like racking up more lines of coke, and you're doing it, and you're like, I'm already feel fucking awful. Like,
then why would you do more?
Because it's very addictive, cocaine.
It just feels nice, like the initial few seconds feels nice.
It also, coke, I think coke is one of the worst drugs that anyone can do.
Why?
Because it changes everyone's personality. Like, you never become a better version of yourself on coke. I've never met someone on cocaine and gone, wow, you're really better.
You're a fun coke person.
Now, you become very self-absorbed. Everyone just wants to, let me just talk loads. And let me talk about myself loads. Blah, 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 blah. And then also, the come downs and like the sketchiness of it all. There's a point where you just know, like, what am I doing? I'm just doing it because it's here.
What kept you going, you think, doing it?
Deep depression.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Do you think everyone who's doing those drugs probably has mental health issues? Or do you think people are doing it like just recreationally?
People who abuse any drug are mostly doing it because I think they have mental health issues.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that, if you're doing something multiple times a week, it's probably a problem.
Have you had any strange experiences on drugs? I mean, the acid trips must have been pretty intense.
I was a kid, though, and so to me it was fun. I was with my friends. We were seeing stuff. We were experimenting.
How many hours would you trip for? Like, how much are you doing when you take acid?
Acid is a time commitment. That's like an 8+ hour time commitment.
You were having like long trips, yeah.
Yeah, is there a short acid trip? I don't know.
It depends what dosage you do. Yeah, you can have short.
Who knows on my doses? I took one stamp. You know how it was back in the day. Some crap on a piece of paper with a silly little cartoon on it, and there you go. Yeah. You're off to
exactly.
the races, right?
Fucking see you on the other side, mate.
Yeah.
We used to buy our acid from this guy. He was a guitarist. I can't even remember his name. He was an American dude, and he was like had these really long, overgrown fingernails. They always had dirt under them, and he played guitar. Yeah, he was a weird guy, and he would sell us very cheap acid
That he touched.
Oh yeah. I mean, like you're not worrying
nasty
about
little nails.
Yo, if you're doing acid like for 3 days at a time, you're not worried about who's handling your drugs. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I've got
That's
a strong
another
immune
level.
system from.
From Mr. Nail
Maybe
Man.
that's the only positive that came out of all my drug issues is over the course of my life is
a robust immune system.
a reasonably robust immune system. Yeah,
You've done coke out of a lot of buttholes.
yeah. I know. I've blown
Have you?
I've blown it into buttholes. Yeah.
You've never snorted it from a butthole. You've
No,
only
I've
blown it
snorted it
into
off
butthole.
off butt cheeks. I've snorted
Butt
it off
cheek.
titties and
Okay.
off midriffs and things like that. But I've never or off the the pubis, the little pubic mound
Yeah.
of a vagina and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never sucked it out of a butthole. I'm not into that.
No,
I've blown it
that's a
into
line
buttholes
for you.
You little straw and you pack it and then you
Really?
It's called boofing.
You put a straw in someone's asshole and then you blow the cocaine in?
Yeah, and be careful
Ridiculous.
not to put your mouth on it first and then try and blow, because then you'll breathe in first, and it can go very wrong. You just have to go.
What would happen if you breathed in cocaine?
You probably breathe in a little bit of shit particles and coke, I imagine. Which is probably not the experience either you nor that person is looking for. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But I never did that. I blew
But
it.
I only blew.
I was always professional.
No sucking, only blowing.
Yeah, and you blow a little bit up in
Check.
the arse because it goes into the body system. And I've also shelved before, where you take an ecstasy tablet. It's called shelving. You like basically go up and you kind of put it on the shelf of your colon. You know that little like kind of couple of knuckles in and pull back.
So in your asshole.
You stick it in your arsehole because it goes into your bloodstream infinitely faster, and the experience is a lot more intense. So
Because we don't have time to put it in our mouths anymore?
Yeah, but sometimes A, that can cause a lot of nausea, and B, it might take you like an hour or two for a good pill
Who's
to kick in.
got an hour?
Who's got an hour? You're like, oh wait, we're about to. I've just finished DJing. I'm at Turn Mills in London. Let me just fucking stick a pill up my ass, and then within 10 minutes, I'm fucking tripping and having a great time.
Have you ever taken a drug that you legit had no idea what it was? Someone's like, here, have a X thing, and you're just like, great, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Really?
that the first time I ever smoked crack was like.
You smoke crack?
Well, yeah, but not in like
It wasn't. You didn't list it.
Not in a
that
bowl.
wasn't
It
on
was-
your list.
What we used to do is people used to get cigarettes and you would lick it and like roll it in cocaine or whatever and smoke that. So it would be like.
Is that crack?
Yeah, I mean, it would be like smoking crack cocaine, but someone did that once and I'm pretty certain it was all crack crystals that they put all over it, or crack powder, whatever. Powdered up crack, yeah.
You're lucky to be alive.
It was pretty brown. It might have been heroin. I actually don't know. I might have smoked heroin.
And you just didn't care. You're like, whether it's heroin,
It was 6 in the morning
rat poison,
we were literally in a
we're
squat.
just fucking doing it.
A squat. It was like a squat with a bunch of people who were clearly like squatting there, like weren't
like
paying rent. It was
living
an old
in this
abandoned building.
random abandoned building.
Abandoned building, yeah, and it was like sitting around with a bunch of sketchy people.
Jesus.
Still going, with bottles of White Ace cider, which cost 99
I don't even
cents.
know what that is.
99 pence for a 2-litre bottle of the cheapest cider.
Oh, disgusting.
You've ever imagined in your life. So
No.
you go and buy like 5 of those
No.
and just drink loads of cider and then smoke what could potentially have been crack. Yeah. I was definitely rebelling. Straight A student though.
I should have asked you, were you really a straight A student?
Yeah. At
During
GCSEs
all of that drug use? How?
GCSEs, I got 3 A stars, 7 A's in my GCSEs, which was very impressive at the time.
I don't know what that's
So basically,
British
you normally
thing.
do 9 subjects at GCSE level, which is when you're
What's
like
that at?
16.
Okay.
It might be the GED, I guess you call it out here, or something
That
like
would
that,
be
to
like
get into like
a
your
high
final.
school equivalency test. A GED is more for like people who didn't make it through high school, but
Europe's
still
different.
want.
We have like
Yeah.
the baccalaureate in lots of places, and then you have like in Europe you have your in England you have your GCSEs.
Mm-hmm.
But basically you do like 9 subjects, and then you do tests, and that can determine whether you can get into a certain college or.
Oh, like our SATs.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So I did 10 subjects instead of 9,
Okay.
and I got 3 A stars, which is like 95% above or something,
Great.
and then I got. All the rest were A's, which means like 85 to 95% on the rest
That's
of them. Yeah.
fucking awesome.
I was very
and
bright.
how many like times a week were you using drugs during your studying? Every day?
No. But I mean, well, maybe in my later years. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
get those grades for my A levels before I went to college.
Yeah.
Got 2 B's and a D, so maybe I was doing more drugs then, age 17 and 18. But yeah, it was an interesting relationship to drugs.
So were you ever scared, like when you first started? Because me, speaking of my shirt, I was terrified of drugs when I was younger. I thought if I took drugs, I was absolutely going to probably immediately die or go crazy.
Let me ask
so
you this:
I
the
might have
friends
used
you
them
were
earlier.
using with, were they your age, similar ages to you?
Most of them.
Right. So my two friends that got me into I smoked weed when I was 11. That was the first time I smoked
That's
weed.
young.
I smoked weed before I smoked a cigarette, actually.
That's young.
yeah.
How old were they?
Oh, they were 4. One guy was 4 years older. The other guy was 6 years older
Why
than me.
were they hanging out with an 11-year-old?
Because we lived in the same roads.
Oh, okay,
And
okay,
so
okay.
it was a little cul-de-sac.
It was like
and the guy who was the
yeah.
oldest, who was 17 when I was 11, he was a nerd. You know, he played like Warhammer and
Sure.
video games. So we bonded over nerdy shit in the streets. He was like, oh, I'll take this kid on my wing. The other guy who was 4 years older than me was, he was a troublemaker. He got in trouble. He went into the military for a while and then got kicked out of that or out of the Navy and stuff. He was a bit of a fuck up. But he was... yeah, we just hung out in our cul-de-sac, you know what I mean? So
yeah, like a friend group.
yeah, we
you
drink
live
in the
near each
local
other.
estate bar,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so it was part of what we did. And
That's so young.
yeah, they taught me everything
Even when
young.
I was 16, there's
Porn
no
mags.
way I would have offered anything to a young person.
That's how I learned about a lot of stuff very young, like sex and
From
porn
them.
and things like
Yeah.
that was through them. But drugs, one day they were just like, do you want to smoke weed? And I'm like, yeah, let me smoke weed. I just want to be cool like the older boys, you know?
Yeah, you want to do what the older kids
And
are
I
doing.
white-eat, I threw up everywhere. I was like, they were like, just take a big inhale and then open your mouth and take a second big inhale without the... So I was like...
Too much. Why would they do that? Well, because they're kids too, to be honest.
Because they're kids, they want to make me look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
They wanted to laugh at
They're
me.
just being assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
or just irresponsible kids.
But yeah, I got super fucking high. And then they had to sit with me for hours before I could go home because they were worried my parents would come and kick on their door and be like, what have you done to our kid, you know?
I feel like I know the answer to this, but if you could go back to, let's just say you're 20 years old right now,
Yeah.
but you have the knowledge you have now, would you still do all those drugs to have, I'm sure, some good experiences that you had when you were younger? Or would you, would you do it differently?
I have an autobiography full of stories, or maybe 2.
Yeah.
I've lived many lives. So I think that
So
a
you
lot
don't
of those
want,
experiences...
because you'd have to wipe that out if you didn't.
Here's what I'm thinking. Like, you
Yeah.
said, to answer the question, you know, I think, first of all, I thought about this yesterday, in fact.
Yeah,
Like, would
yeah.
I change? Would I go back and change things in life, including drug taking
Right, you were
and
just
alcohol?
whoosh, into your 20-year-old body.
And what I've
Boom.
accepted at this stage is no, I wouldn't change anything, because what has led me to
Interesting.
be the man I am today
Yeah.
was all of those mistakes, all of those fuck
Yeah.
ups, all of those painful experiences. That was what it was.
Yep.
But if I could have a perfect world where, you know, what I would do is I would go back to when I was 18 and I would give myself one large dosage of psilocybin. I go, here's 5 grams of mushrooms. We're going to go to the woods. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
your feelings. We're going to talk about some stuff. And you're going to take these mushrooms. And I think I would have a transformative experience where I would forgive some things. I would overcome traumas from childhood before I went off to become a man. And it would have put me in a much better place.
Right, because
Yeah.
you say, granted, we all, well, hopefully, I think you love the person who you are now. I love the person who I am now. So it's hard to say I would go back and change things from my past
sure.
because what if it made it worse?
We wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't
Right.
be. I might not be in entertainment. I mean, bear in mind, a lot of my
Interesting.
big
But what if it was
TV
better?
jobs, a lot of my big TV jobs, though, my entry into entertainment,
Yeah.
came because of drugs. Some of them.
What do you mean?
I absolutely booked shows on TV. I'll tell you how I got my first TV show.
Yeah.
I was DJing at Festival, that
Okay.
one where my heart stopped. We talked about that
Jesus Christ.
in a previous episode, you know, mortality episode. I was at Festival. I took drugs. One of the days I was backstage of the main stage
Yeah.
with a group of people, and because I was high and I was being funny and I was engaging
Yeah,
everyone, I
yeah,
was making
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
laugh. Some girl who was there, who was a producer, a girl called Lara, was like, I'm a TV producer. Have you
Mm-hmm.
ever thought of being a TV presenter? You'd be amazing. And we bonded and we were doing lines of coke together. So that trust that comes with doing coke, so many
What
of
do you
my
mean trust
first...
that comes with doing coke?
When you've done drugs with an exec producer
Yeah.
in a toilet at a party, an
Yeah.
industry party, you're like suddenly like, okay, we're okay. You're okay. I'm okay.
Interesting.
We're cool. And
It's
they
like you
hire you.
vetted each other.
They hire you for work. Like
Because I
got
could
booked
argue
because
that
of
you'd
coke.
be funny not on coke.
Sure. But what I'm saying is the first job came because I was high on drugs. This other woman was high on drugs. We laughed. She said, you should be a TV presenter. I went, great, give me a screen test. We did more drugs together. And then next week we hung out and she became one of my very close friends. And I got my first TV job from that.
From that experience.
Yeah.
What if you had been there at the party, being funny, being yourself, and not
sober.
doing drugs?
I don't know
but
if she
being
would
funny.
have felt connected to me as much.
Because it was like the act of doing the drugs with you. Maybe.
I think that was it. Definitely formed stronger bonds with certain people in
Interesting.
TV. Listen, we can go on this phrase.
No, I love
this,
it.
This has
I'm
become
obsessed. Yeah.
a one-sided
I'm
interview.
sorry.
I feel
I'm
like
so interested though. I can't help myself.
It makes sense. I want to talk about so many other things like big pharma. I want to get into drug dealing as well. I want to talk about that and then some other stuff. But let's talk about our viewer questions quickly. First of all, as we do every week now, thank you very much to everyone who has been supporting us on Patreon. We really appreciate you. That's how we're going to start funding this bad boy. At the moment, it's coming out of Cherie and my pockets. 50-50. We're an equal opportunity couple. But yeah, we've been sort of funding that ourselves, and we want to start paying for bigger and better things and more content for you guys through the Patreon. So check it out, patreon.com/Comic Cougar Convo. Shout out to these new patrons. Do you want to kick it off this time? You do the first couple, and I'll do the next couple.
Let's see. Where are our new ones? I don't have my reading glasses
Patreon
on.
shout outs. Okay, here you go. Patreon shout outs.
Yes. So shout outs to some of our newest Patreon members. Thomas the Tank. Hi, Thomas.
Choo choo.
Yes.
I like your username, by the way.
Sam Lehman.
Lehman, what's going on? I'm going to do this next one because he's definitely one of my supporters,
that's
surely.
Yours. Yes.
Sex Daddy Dion.
That's yours.
Yeah,
that's
must
yours.
be.
That's not from me.
Yeah?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Sex Daddy Dion. And also Leona Brown. Thank you, Leona Brown, for being so sweet. You know Leona? Thank you so much, Leona. You're very sweet. Thank you for all the support, guys. We want to try and get as many of you into the CCC crew. So get yourself across now, patreon.com/Comic Cougar Convo. Just to remind you, you get episodes 24 hours earlier than anyone else. You get behind the scenes, videos, photos. We're actually going to be doing a special episode or two for just the Patreon pledges. And I think we're going to go away and you're going to take some mushrooms with me. We're going to go and do that.
We'll do more stuff like that too, where like there's really, really long form exclusive stuff on that Patreon.
We've actually got a bunch of behind the scenes footage from the Escapism Awards as well, which we're going to be putting up, and that's going to be going out for you guys as well. So if you want to see,
super exclusive. It's backstage. It's
you get to see the process of Cherie hosting the Escapism Awards, 2024 Escapism Awards, us hanging out, etc. That whole process. And then also you get the ability to write in directly and give questions like the ones we're about to read. Look at that segue.
Which is like big because I don't know about you, but I don't really answer questions of any kind on any of my social media. So this is the place to get our attention.
Absolutely. So if you want to talk to Cherie directly or myself and ask us questions, this is the way to do it. But yeah, check it out. Patreon.com/Comic Cougar Convo. Go and support us. Go and if you're enjoying the episodes, which I think a lot of you are, according to the hundreds of thousands, one of them's up to about 700,000 or 800,000 now views on our clips as well. So if you're enjoying it, please be part of it. Let's do the questions. Let's see what the viewers have had. You can kick it off this time. Oh look, Cherie's back.
I love her. All right. Sherry asks, I live in a state where only medical marijuana is legal. How do you feel about marijuana being legal in all states?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think marijuana and every other drug should be legal, period.
Wow, every drug?
I know you don't feel that way because you were just talking about how glad you were that certain things were made illegal. And I'm exactly the opposite. I think that for a wide variety of reasons, every drug should be legalized, mostly because it will be regulated. And I know a lot of people hate that word.
Regulated by whom?
I know, the government. But for me...
Who's going to be profiteering off it?
I hear you, but for me as a person with a heart problem, knowing that my weed wouldn't be laced when I buy it from a dispensary was everything to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, that regulation means safely. Well, if you do, then at least you'd be able to get it. Because to me, doing drugs isn't going to harm, unless you do something stupid like get behind the wheel, other people. It might harm me, but we should have the right to do that and to know what we're putting in our bodies.
I think there's a way to do that without having to legalize drugs that have hugely negative, like I don't know anyone who's done a bit of heroin and had a positive experience out of it. Whereas marijuana for relief.
But they have the right to do that.
Sure, but hear me out. Marijuana, pain relief, etc. Right? Ketamine therapy, infusion therapy, like literally can lift depression, suicide ideation, BPD, help with BPD, PTSD, trauma, psilocybin, all of the things I've just listed can benefit with those. There are drugs that actively have a very healthy
heroin is opioids, though, and we prescribe that shit.
Sure. Well, who prescribes it? That's the point I'm trying to make. Heroin, crack cocaine, these kind of drugs never really have a positive impact ongoing to people's lives. Never.
Agree.
But what I do think is a nice midway point is, rather than making it all legal, is having regularly set up testing stations. So if you have drugs, if you are on the street and you are addicted to crack cocaine, if you're addicted to heroin, you can go into a testing site and you can get your drug tested for free to make sure it's not laced with
those nice
XYZ.
Injection places where you can do your drugs
you get your
under
clean needles and stuff.
clean needles, supervision. Well, how do you feel about the next step? So you're saying maybe some stuff should still be illegal, but you should have a safe way to use it. What do you think about criminalizing then the people who have the drugs, the people who deal the drugs? Like, who do you think should be going to jail? American, for-profit jail for drug, maybe possession, dealing. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there's currently laws in place for that. If it's
there are, but do you think it's right? Do you think that if I sell you heroin,
not with marijuana, but yeah, I think if you're out there selling heroin on the streets to people, you should be locked up.
You should go to jail.
Yeah, you should be locked up. Yeah,
I disagree.
Really?
And I think anyone who's just in jail for drug dealing should be let out because you're choosing to harm yourself. It's not you know what I mean? Like if I do heroin, that's my fault.
I mean,
fault.
Not necessarily true. There's a million reasons why people can get on those kinds of drugs, and a lot of them aren't to do with the person's fault. They may have taken the drug without realizing that's exactly what the drug is.
They
may have been force-fed effectively the drug by a pimp, by
but
someone
now we're
who's
almost talking like sex work versus sex trafficking. I'm talking about people who chose to take heroin.
Yeah, but how do you split? How do you decipher who within society is taking it? Because great, I just want to take heroin until I eventually take so much of it kills me. Like or it destroys my life. I think there's clear indications of certain drugs having a positive, beneficial aspect on people's lives.
So you think only positive drugs should be legal?
I think drugs that have positive therapeutic use or medical use, yes, legalize them. I think drugs that do not and really have a proven track record of only negatively impacting people's lives and or killing them should absolutely remain illegal.
I think then alcohol is only negative. What positive effects? I mean, yes, it's fun to take recreationally, but lots of these illegal drugs are fun to take recreationally. I
agree. I think
but it doesn't have a proven positive effect.
Listen, I'm not for prohibition, but at the same point, if I could snap my fingers and alcohol was gone tomorrow, sure, I would do it. Yeah.
See, I'm into letting people just do them.
Do everything.
If they want.
Now, let me ask
even
you
if
this.
it destroys their life.
How many people in your life has alcohol ruined their lives? A large number?
Many.
No.
Maybe less than 10.
I have very direct experiences.
Yeah.
I guess being an alcoholic in recovery myself and having a father who, alcohol killed him at the end of his life. Like, I think I've seen very really the
negative
major
impact.
Damage. Yeah.
No, I agree. Alcohol.
Whereas weed, I've never
can
really
be
seen,
damaging.
Sure, all right. You eat too many snacks and you might be a bit lazy if you smoke too much weed, but You're not out there fucking stabbing people. You're generally not.
So you want the government to regulate humans to the point that if this isn't good for you, you shouldn't do it. So that could go for bad snack food. That could go for all kinds of different things that we're doing or not doing. You want to make sure legally that people are keeping themselves safe instead of letting them have autonomy to make themselves unsafe.
I get what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying.
I'm
pushing.
I
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean, listen, I think if people were able to make those decisions better for themselves, sure. Here's the problem. The average Joe is not fucking educated, is not cultured, has not traveled the world, has not had a wealth of experiences, the likes of which you or me may have been privileged enough to experience. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people who aren't going to be able to take drugs responsibly. Sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
I think there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers in the world, and that's why we have some level of governance.
Can't they be allowed to be dumb motherfuckers?
Sure, but then you're going to have a lot of people fucking walking out in the middle of traffic across freeways because they go, hey, today I want to try spice. And then they take spice and then they're trying to eat each other's faces off in the fucking streets. That literally happens.
Is spice a thing? Is that a thing or you just make up that word?
Yeah, and the guy took a large quantity of it and tried to bit the faces of like multiple people in the street because he was trying to eat their faces off.
Is that the bath salts thing?
Yeah,
bath salts. I've heard of that then. I have
That's
heard
what
of that.
spice is?
I think that's like spice is one of that kind of drug. Yeah.
The face-eating drug?
Yeah.
One of the several face-eating drugs.
Do you know what I mean? Here's the deal. Like, I've never had anyone smoke weed and then go out and like gun down 25 people. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that happening.
No doubt.
No one's ever taken mushrooms and then decided that, they should drive their car through busy traffic and like mow down a bunch of people.
Plenty of car accidents have been caused by marijuana and shrooms.
Sure.
I'm sure plenty of deaths have been caused.
Which is why there needs to remain some level of law relating to the use of those drugs.
I agree. No? Well, relating to what you do while you're on those drugs. Right. I agree that if you're on any substance that makes you fucked up, prescription or otherwise, you shouldn't be behind a wheel.
Do you think eventually we're going to end up living in a sort of this kind of cyberpunk future, post-apocalyptic future? They're all futuristic sci-fi games.
Yeah.
Drugs are always legal in all of them, or there's some kind of drug that's like super legal. Do you know what I mean? All the basic ones. Do you think that we're going to end up in that place where everything is kind of legalized and people do go down and stay in a padded room to take fucking bath salts so they can take it and get high as fuck, but then they're not going to eat anyone's face off because they're in a padded room just.
I think they should be able to. Yeah.
Just
I
a
think you
guy's
should
a
be able
lawyer.
to rent that room. Yes.
He's a therapist for kids in the daytime, and then he comes down for 4 hours and just gets it all out, and then
get it done.
Damn.
For it.
Damn.
For
you just want to wear
it.
the outfits that comes in a cyberpunk world. I know that's what it is.
I was actually thinking that.
Of course
When you
were.
mentioned it, that is quite honestly the first thing that came into my head. I was like, what would I wear though?
You'll be an AI version of yourself. That I remember on one of our previous episodes when we talked about the future. You'll end up living that existence.
I need it.
Meta Cherie.
Yeah.
Meta DeVille.
Yeah.
Love it.
So if you could choose one drug, legal, illegal, whatever it is, and this includes to me even sugar, to be the only one you could ever use again, you have to give up all other drugs.
Psilocybin, easy.
Above like cold medicine for when you get a
Psilocybin.
cold, antibiotics.
Psilocybin.
Really?
Psilocybin for the rest of my
That's your
life.
one.
Yeah.
Antibiotics is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't fucking die.
Well, I mean, look, we haven't. We got 2 more questions from our viewers. I really want to ask these.
Yes,
I'm going to ask the
Yes,
second
please,
one.
please,
Leona
please.
Brown, thank you again for becoming a Patreon
thank
pledge,
you.
has asked, do you think there are any good doctors out there anymore prescribing medications, which is why I thought antibiotics leads to this, or that people actually need, I should say. Sorry, prescribing medications that people actually need.
Sure.
Or are they all just greedy fucks with big business profiteering in their minds?
Yeah, that's a pretty black and white question. But I think there are some. Are there some really shitty doctors? Yes. Are there the next level of people that are too ignorant and easily swayed by their pharma reps? Yes. Are there people that aren't doing the research and prescribing things poorly? Yes. Very dangerously, are there doctors that are using patient pressure and the fear of lawsuits and prescribing them things that they kind of know they shouldn't be, like antibiotics to a child that doesn't potentially have a bacterial infection, but the parent is freaking out so much they give it, which is causing a huge societal problem.
Sure.
All of that is yes.
And building up an immune system to those antibiotics, you have to take more, and then has issues with your organs and stuff.
Societally, super germs, all of that stuff. But I do think there are some good doctors. Of course there are.
I think that, and in this country, I feel like infinitely less. I think America is so, I think like drugs are like the go-to
Not even
for so many people.
50-50? Good doctor, bad doctor?
No.
25?
It's money. It's a business. Big Pharma is the biggest fucking business in this country, apart from sale of arms overseas and the prison system. Yeah,
I don't know the stats, but Big Pharma is gigantic.
Those three are up there.
Gigantic.
Yeah. They own media companies.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's like, and they own politics. They have lobbyists in every facet of politics.
Created a huge epidemic, the opioid epidemic, which is a tragedy.
Yeah.
A tragedy. People thinking they're doing the right thing by taking pills prescribed by their doctor and ruining their lives.
This is why I think there still needs to remain some level of like control or legalization or laws against certain drugs, because I think if they got their ability to just write scripts for all this stuff,
they do.
Yeah, they would. They would have people walking around and fucking on anything they wanted. I mean, they basically do right now. Heroin,
currently
morphine.
do.
You got people like taking so much morphine they don't know where they're at half the time.
But then there is a use for morphine and there is a use for opioids. So where do you draw that line? Like
with healthy and well-regulated legalization laws and understanding of what dosage and in what applications these drugs can be utilized.
I think they're trying, but that's a really tough one because it's super subjective.
I said this on the Future episode.
Yeah.
I think everyone at the age of like 18 to 21, somewhere in that window, should be sat down and, assuming they don't have a history of psychosis in their family, they should either be given a psilocybin treatment or a ketamine infusion therapy treatment. And I think that we would have infinitely less problems across the board. People would grow, they would release trauma from childhood, they would grow into better, well-balanced humans, adult humans, and then all of this shit, it wouldn't even matter. People wouldn't want to do heroin because they'd be high on life, bro. No, but it has massively positive effects. I mean, 100%.
Other cultures use it.
100%
like
positive
that.
effects for like first responders, military, vets, you know, police, paramedics, etc. And 4 out of 5 people from ketamine therapy treatment have major beneficial effects.
Yeah.
The only ones who don't, a bit of nausea, or they just don't like the experience. It's not, it doesn't hurt them, and they can be off it in 10 minutes.
Right. But
That's
they didn't
healthy,
enjoy
yeah.
it.
Whereas
as
buying a
themselves.
bag of fucking backyard drugs from one of the guys that you've just legalized, you know, just going, hey, lad, I want to get some heroin. He's like, okay, sure. It's definitely heroin. I promise it's not cut up with all these other things. And then 2 minutes later, they're dead. I just think we could avoid that process.
Yeah, I'm not into babysitting people.
You just want people to make their own bad decisions. Yeah. We're back to the mortality episode. This is Darwinism, and it's the Darwin Award.
Or just like, you know, being free to be whatever kind of human you want to be, even if it's a fucking idiot.
You're coming from this utopian idea that everyone is just free and making that decision out of a freedom choice. I think a lot of people take certain drugs not because they're free, because they are slaves to their own mind, their own trauma, their own fucking experiences that have screwed them so badly at that point in life. They're like, how do I get out of this pain? Let me just take that shit.
But it's not our job to parent them.
Sorry?
It's not society's job to parent them.
I mean, I feel like if society had more of a community approach to parenting, we'd be in a better position.
Yeah, well, if smaller communities where people cared more, that's true. But that isn't where we
There's
are.
a reason like why these fucking indigenous people in the mountains who are like, taking drugs once a year as a process of shamanism to open themselves up to things. They're not like going, hey, but I need some heroin next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those people are, you know, they have community, they have like role models, they work together as a village. Do you know what I mean? There's that kind of connection. Yeah, if we had a bit more of that and did parent each other a bit more, that'd be nice.
Liberal.
Fucking liberal. Fucking liberal. Well, all politics is puppet theatre. I don't prescribe to any of it. But you're right. No, I am a classically liberal, though. I am classically liberal. I am a little bit socialist, I guess. You know, I want utopian stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one last question from Tom, then we got to wrap this bad boy up. You go ahead.
Yeah. Tom asks, have you two ever had sex on drugs?
With each other?
With each other or separately. If so, which ones and how did they enhance or ruin your sexual experience?
Well, the only 1 or 2 times we did have sex, I think I was on a lot of drugs, and you weren't even there. I was just, oh wait, yeah, that's what it's like. Okay, go.
It was with my like sex toy, my pocket pussy, my stroker.
Why have you not given me one of those?
I'll give you one. I'll give you 3.
Maybe when we go and do 3, well, I haven't got 3 dicks. You want me to be
you have to
fingering
clean them,
2?
you know?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
On rotation.
Yeah.
Are they machine washable? Are they dishwasher safe?
No, they're not dishwasher
okay.
safe. The heat, if you didn't have it in a hot setting, yes.
Okay.
But you can't get them that hot.
Just a cold spritz is what we're looking for.
Spritz.
Don't hot wash Cherie's vagina. Just hot spritz it. Cold spritz it. She prefers gas water as well. What am I trying to say? Sparkling water.
I don't know.
A sparkling douche. That's what Cherie's vagina is really into.
Sparkling douche, an effervescent experience.
That sounds like a
in
new
the nether
sexual
reasons.
thing. Oh, you know, last time I was on set, this guy did a sparkling douche on me. You got to try
I'm
it.
going to
It's
say
amazing.
that and see if people are like, what the fuck?
Damn, if I entered
that.
the porn industry, I think I'd do really well. Can you imagine?
Yeah, you would do well. Do it.
Let's go back to this question on being asked by Tom. Thanks, Tom, for the question. Thomas the Tank. Love your little username. Have you ever had sex on drugs?
Yeah, on marijuana, on alcohol.
Does it enhance? Do you think it's ever ruined a sexual experience, or has it always enhanced it?
I think it's ruined and enhanced. Some of each.
How does it ruin?
I've been so drunk that I felt nauseous in the middle of a sexual experience.
You couldn't even get an erection.
No, but I can't give good head because I like to deep throat, and if I'm nauseous at all, it's going to make me puke bad, just fully bad. And marijuana, honestly, I prefer to absolutely not have sex when I'm on marijuana because I get cotton mouth, cotton nose, cotton eyes, cotton fucking pussy, and I don't like lube.
Damn.
I don't like lube. I think it's
Dry
yucky.
vag.
Yeah. So to me, that's a. Now you got to use lube. It doesn't feel.
Damn, I knew that weed obviously gives cotton mouth. I didn't know it necessarily gives cotton vagina.
For me, I don't know about everyone, but for me, I have
Coke
a harder time getting wet. And
Coke dries women out.
Yeah.
And gives you a. I've definitely had drugs. I've had sex on. Yeah, most of the drugs I mentioned, I guess. And I mean, if I'm honest, I used to fuck a load of, I used to hang out with art students and musicians and shit. We would fuck in the toilets at a rave, do you know what I mean? We're both on speed, Sometimes super fun, but most of the hard drugs I did made the experience worse, I would say.
Yeah.
The excitement of doing it is fun, but the actual sex was probably worse because, dryness, keeping a boner, or not being able to come, coke. I remember
oh, that sounds terrible.
Yo, there was
That's
good
a cock
few
tease
years.
for yourself.
Here's the deal.
So you can get it up, you can fuck, you can get almost
Talking
there.
about heart issues. No. I would get hard.
Tell me.
But what my issue would be is that I could never come. So I would
Nightmare.
I remember.
That's worse than not getting hard.
Hear me out, right? There were two things that used to happen to me all the time. One, I remember when I was doing a lot of coke, I was DJing clubs in East London, and I go home and I fuck whatever girl I was fucking, or whatever girlfriend I was dating at the time, or whatever, or that day's person who came home with me after the club and wanted to fuck on drugs. And I would do coke, I'd be like smoking weed, doing drugs, doing coke, drinking, I'd be drunk, high, all of these things. And I remember I'd get a boner and I'd fuck, and I would fuck, and I'd have to, after like a period of time, an hour, whatever, it'd be too long.
That's a lot of fucking.
It's too long.
That's too long
no
for
one
me.
needs to fuck that long.
Yeah, and without a little break at least.
And you get to a stage where I'd literally just be like, I'd be sweating, my heart would be like,
You're sweating all over this poor woman.
No, not like dripping all over her. We'd both be sweating.
Okay.
But what I mean is, like, I would literally be putting my heart through such intense, like, experiences that I would come as soon as I finally I can come. Sometimes I just fake that I'd come because I didn't want to make her feel bad, but I couldn't fuck anymore. I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna have a heart attack.
What's your
I'm
fake
pretty certain
orgasm?
I would have like fake. I'd sing. It'd be like kind of some sort of Middle Eastern prayer and sort of the No, I don't know. It'd be like a scream of please. Yeah. Sorry. Very British, Whoopsie.
Whoopsie.
I don't know. When I'd come, I would have to go to the toilet. This happened for about a period of about 2-3 years when I was doing a lot of coke. I would go to the toilet and I would be physically sick.
Afterwards?
I would vomit because my body was at such a, I had pushed my heart to such a painful place.
And you still decided the next day, let's do this again?
Yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. I hate myself.
Fuck.
That's what I'm saying. It's not always joyful, Cherie. We can't legalize it for everyone. Not everyone's making the right decisions for themselves. But I would vomit after, I'd go away and I'd be like, hey, if the girl heard me or whatever, was like, are you okay? I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I just pushed myself to I was like, my heart rate was too elevated.
You made me sick.
Yeah, I'd be like, it was nothing to do with you. It was just... Your vagina was fucking wrong. Let me just say, the stench of that pussy just pushed me to that place. So I would definitely be sometimes sick after sex because of it, which is not a good place. That's not a good place. That's not good.
No.
And I also genuinely thought I almost gave myself half induced strokes or heart like.
You're numb on one side of your body for a while?
I definitely had points where I would have physical issues relating to trying to come when I clearly could not come because the sensitivity was just
Are there any drugs that you like to have sex on, would do again? Molly. Yeah.
MDMA, you're every touch is just give me a little.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, fingers are so good right now.
Really?
You can just
sexual.
Going down. But again, the prospect of climaxing is made harder. So it's
for men and women, you think?
Yeah, it can be felt. Yeah, depending on how much you do. I mean, maybe I was just overdoing everything.
Maybe. Sounds like.
Yeah.
You might have been overdoing it.
I passed out during sex
though?
once. Passed out during sex.
Really?
Yeah. Just being too fucking high and just.
Jesus. What did the person do?
She was carrying on going. I sort of came to, and she was still riding me and going, "Are you okay? You okay?" And I'm like,
she didn't even stop.
I'm like,
she's like, his dick is still hard. Let's do this. He'll wake up eventually, or not.
Yeah.
She wake you up.
And maybe I've had sex on other drugs that I just didn't remember. I mean, I definitely had my drink spiked. People put GHB in my drinks a few times to knock me the fuck out. Yeah. So
how about drugs that you would do again?
In my butthole.
Just Molly? Would you do it again though? Now, if you were in a place you felt safe with the person. I'd take Molly at a
festival, dancing. I would take it to dance. And then potentially have a little sex afterwards. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
But I would like to do the sex as I'm coming down. So you still get some of the joy of the feeling, but then you can...
focus a little?
Yeah.
How about weed? Do you like sex on weed?
Not really, nah. It makes me a bit lazy in the cock and ball department.
Yeah.
Coke, not interested in doing that ever again in my entire life. Like Coke
sounds terrible.
makes everyone into an arsehole. Yeah. And alcohol, no interest. But I do see how alcohol can be a great social lubricant. Like one of the best fucks I ever had with my ex was red wine drunk. Red wine is sensual.
But I think to me,
Vino veritas.
Tell me what you think about this. So I think alcohol decreases your inhibitions. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like that could have been who she really was on the inside. She's just inhibited most of the time.
Oh, no. I mean, we were both just in a place of just like, yeah, let's just go. Like, but it wasn't like we were doing anything that we didn't do when we were sober as well.
No, but I do believe that some people have better sex high because they're like inhibited in their real sober lives.
I agree with
like
you.
they're not letting their true self out.
I agree with you.
And if they did, they wouldn't need
But I think
that
the better
wine.
sex is being able to do those things
sober.
of course.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. So, to me, sober sex is the best
It
sex.
is. And once you become comfortable with yourself and you don't need those drugs to run away from yourselves anymore, which I'm now at that place, I'm super happy, like fucking, bending a girl up like
I
a
feel
croissant
comfortable looking
sucking
weird,
on her
being
toes
weird,
while I'm
saying
fucking
weird. Yeah.
slapping her clit while you're fucking deep dicking. Like when you're at that place sober, it's a great place to be.
No, that's the way to do it because then you're fully doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Yeah. And also for anal, if you're trying anal, a little red wine, a slight lubricant. I've found with women that if they're a little buzzed, it can help them relax their
Well, I
butthole.
think it is a
can help them
muscle
relax
relaxer, so that's like a physiology thing. Sure.
Otherwise, it's
sure.
a little slowly, really slowly. Wait. Wait, let me breathe. It's like, yo, you're in your head too much. Whereas
They're in their head
a couple
too
of
much.
glasses of wine and just a bit like, just throw
Again,
this-
inhibitions though.
Throw it in there. Just slap that butthole.
Yeah.
There you
Slap
go.
her in there.
Just slap her in
Slap
there.
her in there.
Why is my penis female? Anyway, we'll answer that on next week's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, before we go out, I just want to say a couple of things. One, thank you so much again to the Patreons. Patreon.com/Comic Cougar Convo. Go support us. We're also putting the episodes up on OnlyFans TV. So if you're watching this on OnlyFans TV, welcome. Hello. Look at me rocking the OnlyFans bag today in
Legit.
my little
Your little drug
supposed
bag.
drug bag. The drug I'm giving you is sexy content. Enjoy it. But yeah, if you're watching us on OnlyFans, do me a favor. Go and make sure you follow both of us. Yeah, subscribe up, be a part of the content, get involved. Also, if
OnlyFans is fun, but you don't get the extras.
you don't get all the extras on there. Also, make sure if you have not yet done so, if you're watching a clip, listen, we can cut this into some of the clips. Make sure to check out the full-length episodes, youtube.com/comic. Sorry, let's try that again. I'll do it again so I don't fuck it up, and then Ben can edit it in nicely.
Do better.
Hey, if you're enjoying the clips, do me a favor and go and check myself and Cherie DeVille out right now. Our YouTube channel. What is it? YouTube.com/@
Comic Cougar Convo.
Easy. Go find it, sub up over there, be a part of the content and see the full length episodes. And finally, we will be back every single week, so make sure you check in, get those episodes 24 hours early on our Patreon page. Right now, we'll see you next time. I've been a comic.
I'm a cougar.
This has been a conversation. See you next time. Bye.